Enough is enough. It's time for change. Greetings, Jamaica, the diaspora, and the world in the powerful name of God Almighty. I am the great defender. Romans 12, verse 2 says, Be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your minds. And it is the renewal of the mind that I want to speak on today. The mindset of our population is of such that unless people renew their minds, the country on a whole cannot be better. Your communities cannot be better as long as we have this killing and destructive mindset. Granted, our leaders have failed. The politicians in Jamaica have gone off the rails. They are clearly not leadership materials. They are clearly not men and women of their best characters. But nevertheless, the population must now begin to change the way it thinks. Jamaica is suffering from what is called mass psychosis, where a vast amount of the population, believe it or not, has gone mad. And we see it in their actions. These are not sober people that do the kind of killings that we see going on. A lot of the youngsters are mad. The government have mad people in it as well. We have a parliament that has no conscience. We have senators that can't pass rules to fight crime in the right way. We have judges that seems to take bribes. They seem to enjoy recycling criminals in society. And so we do have a vast amount of our population mad from top to bottom, from government to the streets. A lot of them are mad. And some might say that this is not so. I'm going to prove my point. If you look at the decisions that the government makes, look at the SSL saga, that they are now asking the population, the taxpayers, to foot the bill to keep a scam institution open until they conclude an investigation that is not even happening. But the public is asked to pay 15 million to keep a scam organization open. If that is not a decision by madmen, then I don't know what is. We look at the saga where we are now having multiple mass murders across the country, where people are dying in threes, fours, and fives all at once, being murdered. These are not sane people that are doing these crimes. These are mad people. If those are not done by mad people, then nobody is mad. The pain and anguish that the country is going through because of the mass psychosis that has taken hold on the country, the lack of godliness on the part of our people, the population have deviated from God and they are now turning to the devil for answers. We see it in the daily wearing of the so-called guard rings by a lot of our youngsters who are depending on evil forces and evil powers to be safe. But I want to say that you are less than safe. The guard rings will not save you. We have politicians that it is said that they too have indulged in the madness of sorcery. They have gone to places to where the regular people go to get their little so-called fix-up. But all these things are illusions. These are illusions fed to the masses to keep you strikingly mad. The renewal of the mind is very important. We look in the dance hall and we see the culture of hate on a daily basis. The dance hall artists just cannot get along. And there's enough space and enough money for everyone to earn adequately and enjoy themselves, and yet they can't get along. So it shows that there is a madness going on in every industry, in every institution across the country. The country is suffering from mass psychosis, a form of madness where a vast amount of the population is strikingly mad. Some will get offended by this, but I want to tell you that if you are not mad, and if some people are not mad, then stop doing what you're doing. This is not done by sober people. If you go to Bellevue, not even Bellevue, where the people are diagnosed as mad, they don't carry out these heinous acts in Bellevue. Bellevue is actually safer than the streets of Jamaica. And Bellevue is full of mad people, yet it is safer than the streets. The renewal of the mind is where it all begins, because it is the conscious decision of individuals that lead to these kinds of heinous acts. The country cannot move forward if people do not love each other. Jamaicans have a problem of hatred and bad mind. They don't want to see anyone with anything, hence the term extortion. The entitlement mentality that what people have belongs to them, belongs to others. They think they are entitled to what everybody else have. And this kind of mentality is a form of madness, because it's only a madman who gets up and thinks that what somebody else have belongs to him. That cannot be sanity. That must be insanity. We can pretend all we want until we have sober leaders, men and women in parliament, in government, that are not a part of the madness. In most countries, 80% of the parliamentarians in Jamaica would be in prison, because they are strikingly mad and they are corrupt. The judges in Jamaica, in some countries, those judges would have been imprisoned because they have broken the law on every chance they get to ensure that the main criminals in society are recycled. And so what we have, Jamaica, is a country that must be transformed by the renewing of the mind. It is the minds that people now will have to change. I will not do that. I will not do this. This is wrong. Let's not do that. The mind. Once the people can get that culture of hatred and entitlement out of them, the government is in trouble, because then what it will do is create a united people who will unite against the atrocities of leadership that keeps a population mad deliberately. Governments are keeping the population mad deliberately so that they can manipulate them and they can stay powerful. And I tell you why a lot of Jamaica is mad. If a lot of the people are not mad, why will you vote for the present crop of leaders that you have? It's got to be a sign of madness that why people do that. I don't think sane people would vote for these incompetent people. We need new leadership in the country, leadership with conscience, leadership that will create the guardrails to protect the society. The vulnerable in society are too easily destroyed, and there's nothing in place to protect them. We need leadership where the elderly can be cared for on a daily basis. There must be organized efforts by government to make sure our elderly are cared for on a daily basis, not just now and then, a daily basis. There must be improved ambulatory services that goes into especially the rural areas to make sure that the elderly are fairly healthy and that they are well fed. They must be fed on a daily basis. We need government with a conscience, government that will not allow any child in the country to go to his or her bed hungry. The madness of government to tell you that your country is doing well, the madness of government to double the pay of the politicians. Their pays have doubled. And if that is not a sign of madness, then you tell me, then nobody is mad. Only a mad leadership will double the pay of its leaders and have its teachers retiring from the classrooms on a daily basis. The teachers are running away. Right now, school has reopened and a lot of the teachers are not in the classrooms. A lot of children are sitting there without teachers while government double its pay. Politicians who are already rich are doubling their pay and the people are not doing much or saying much about it. That is a sign of madness. If the men that are going around killing people for money, for a living, if they would unite and put their energies where it matters, they should be asking questions of their politicians, not going around killing poor people for a few worthless dollars. We look down the line on all the things that are happening. The missing bodies of a lot of our young ladies are going missing. If this is not a sign that some of our young men are mad, then there's no mad people. And you go on and on. I can point to a number of things that will not be done by sane people. This is a sign that a vast amount of the population is mad. And this is what is called mass psychosis, when even the right things seem wrong and the wrong things seem right. The illusion that is supplied to the people by leadership, and then the people go for this illusion. In order to keep them mad, government supply them with illusions on a daily basis. A country cannot go forward if the people are dying the way they are dying. Our youngsters are dying, we are losing our brightest minds, we are going through a brain drain. And so we must make a conscious effort to begin to reculture the people. And one of the ways we have to begin to reculture the people is to encourage them to renew their minds. Once your mind is renewed, then you begin to see clearly. A lot of our population is going through depression. A lot are so stressed out that things are so hard. And so there must be big moves made to save the country. The welfare system I've spoken about must take effect. The changing of the currency from the worthless Jamaican dollars and start paying the people in United States dollars. They are charged the equivalent of United States dollars for goods and services. Another thing that I have suggested is a robust healthcare system where the entire population must have an health card, because people are dying because they don't have cash to pay medical costs. The dialysis machines that I've spoken about must begin to flood the country so that we can have cheaper and easier access to dialysis machines so the people can live a little longer and stronger. There are lots of things. The food that is being wasted in the countryside, the fruits. We have the indigenous apples. We don't have a Jamaican apple farm so far. We should have an indigenous apple farm that is providing employment for lots of the youngsters in the rural areas. Star apples. These fruits are well cherished by Jamaicans, and so if we can farm them and market them globally, this will create economic boost. The government lacks vision to utilize the resources of the country. We are counting on loans and depending on IMF and these things. There must be ideas coming out of our people, out of our leadership, that can transform our country. And the guardrails must be put in place to protect the vulnerable people of the country. There are no guardrails, and the criminals are given a free pass. They are the ones that are given the privileges and the preferences by the government, the police, the judicial system, and so the poor, harmless people are left to die at will. And so I'm calling for the arming of the Jamaican people so that most people in Jamaica can get a licensed firearm so they can also protect themselves against criminals. This would cut crime in half, I guarantee you, because we know that most of the criminals join up with gangs because they're afraid of the gang leaders. That is why they join the gangs. They didn't join the gangs because they think it's going to benefit them. They join it because they're afraid of the people that are in it. And they see the gangs as safe haven. But government must now take on the mantle of re-educating its people and reculturing its people, showing the people a positive way forward, banning the dancehall artists who put violent contents in their songs. They must be arrested and given 60 days in jail for every violent word in a song. There have to be wartime measures taken to save the country because propaganda machinery that is at work, which a lot of the musicians are promoting crime, they are backing criminals. And so these are areas where government must look into and begin to act to save the country. There are lots of things that has to be done. But as I point out in the beginning, that a vast amount of the population is mad. It is called mass psychosis. And if you look even in government, you look at the decisions they are making. These are not made by people who are not mad. Even our politicians, some of them are mad. Believe it or not. With these words, I leave you for now. God bless you. Until next time. Thank you.